Yeah, definitely. My shot was rusty, but you still can play hard on the defensive end. That's what I try to do. I try to go out there and lift our intensity and get the guys going. I know that's my role on this team. It's hard to say. Might be one game, might be 2 games. I don't know. I just have to go out there and be confident and take what the defense gives me and get to my spots.
Celtics fall 87-80, a late collapse. We're going to talk about it here. Avery Bradley's back. This is the Garden Report on Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio. I'm Jared Weiss from CLNS Radio. With me, Jimmy Toscano from Celtics Blog.
Hey, Jared.
We're going to talk about each other. Well, hey, Jimmy. We're going to talk about the game tonight. We're going to talk about Avery Bradley first off. He makes his return, month layoff due to the ankle sprain, and rusty. Rusty would be the word.
Rusty, as expected. Although watching him play, he didn't seem. The thing I was looking for was, could he run the same? Could he fight through screens? Could he follow his man? He could. I mean, I didn't see a guy that was, limping out there or favoring one ankle as opposed to the other. So that was good. I think that they gave him more than enough time for him to heal, which is good for not only the Celtics, but it's good for him because it's obviously a big 16 games left in the season for him, and he doesn't want to miss a single game from this point forward. For him to miss 13 games, I think it was bad enough for his, the knock on him already is that he can't stay healthy. So it was good to see him out there running around. The shot wasn't quite there. That's the rust factor. But we did see that nice, typical, classic Avery Bradley backdoor cut in the fourth quarter, was it? I believe, yeah, it was the fourth quarter. So that was good to see, too.
Yeah, the pass from Presti was fantastic.
It was nice.
It kind of looked like he stole what the pass was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It looked like the big man was supposed to get the pass, and then Bradley kind of snuck out of nowhere.
He does that a lot, though. He's really good.
He's as good as it gets is from coming in from that wing.
Yeah.
And usually it's on the same side, but he came from the left corner all the way onto the right side of the court. So
yeah, you're right. It's usually from the other side.
Yeah. And the Phoenix Suns have that issue. They allow a lot of backdoor. Yeah, they're not a good defensive team yet. They've got some guys that can shred the defense, and we'll talk about them coming up soon. But so
they're
Avery,
up-tempo,
yeah, well, sure. But so Avery defensively looked okay. We had Dragic went 8 for 15 and had 20 points. It was another good game for Goran Dragic. To be fair, he's been doing that to pretty much the entire league. I mean Dragic's having an incredible season.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the reason that they are where they are because when Bledsoe went down, I mean, he really took his game to another level. I mean, this guy was an all-star. You know what I mean? Like, he's an all-star level player this year. And I just think that him, not only him, but Gerald Green, guys on that team, listen, people thought that the Suns were going to be one of the worst teams, literally one of the worst teams, like maybe worse than Celtics. And they proved everybody wrong all season long. Now, unfortunately for them, they're on the outside looking in because the Grizzlies got Gasol back and they're playing well, and now they bumped them out of the playoff race there. There's still a chance for them to sneak in as an 8th seed or a 7th seed even, but they're on the outside looking in. But I just think that the way they played this season, that's a lot of hope going into next season. They don't need a top 3 guy, I don't think, like some of these other NBA teams they're struggling to. They have a solid core if they can re-up Bledsoe. But back to Dragic, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that underrated his entire career, and I think this is a year that really stood out for not just to me, but to you and to, I think, everybody and every NBA fan.
Okay, so Avery, like Eric Bledsoe on the other side, we'll hear about this in a minute. Avery is a free agent. He's a restricted free agent.
Yes.
And every single year of his career, he has been injured. And it's whether it's a shoulder, an ankle, a wrist, something has come up with him. It's taken him out for a significant amount of time. That hurts your value.
Yeah.
It's hard to sign a guy when you know, that he's going to be hurt every single year, unless you're the Broncos and you give Aqib Talib a giant contract. But
right.
He is his value hurt?
Yeah.
And does the last 16 games of the season give him a chance to somewhat redeem that?
I don't think it's going to do anything to change the knock on him, which is that he can't stay healthy. I mean, if you can play 16 or 17 straight games, what is that in the long term? That's nothing. But if he can come off this injury and show that he can still be that lockdown defender, one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA, that's what you think of when you think of Avery Bradley. He's going to win us games, not with his offense, but with his defense. What he lacks on offense, he more than makes up on defense. The problem is the way he plays defense, the tenacious, the on-ball, all that stuff, that's how he gets injured all the time. That's why he can't stay on the court. So it's kind of like a vicious circle. You want him to play this great defense, but it's going to come at the cost of playing games. So it's like, you really don't know what you're going to get if you sign this guy. So I think it's going to hurt maybe something. It's going to knock off, I would say, $1 million or so. Maybe
You think it's that small? That's not much. It's a minimal difference.
minimum per year, though.
Yeah.
It depends. Could it knock off a year or two? I don't know.
That's a big
Our team's going to want to commit long term to a guy that they don't know if can just.
Can he get a 3 or 4 year contract?
Yeah, and I don't think that he's done enough. He's definitely shown that he can shoot the ball this year as opposed to other years, but I don't know if he's shown it enough where you can really trust him. You know, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be one of those guys that's ever gonna like lead your team to make like go on the shooting spree and just like catch fire. He's just not that guy. He's a defensive first guy, so that's how he's gonna make his money. I don't know if the Celtics. I don't know anymore if the Celtics are in his future. I don't know if they think of Bradley as a long-term future guy, and health has one big reason to do it. After the game, though, Rondo did say that him and Bradley would get their time to play together. So I don't know if he meant the rest of this year, or if he maybe knows something that we don't know, where they're already talking about re-upping for a new deal. So.
Well, he didn't get the extension, or he didn't take the extension, banking on he would have a year that would increase his value.
Right.
And so far, very mixed results, because he was playing well for a while, but the injury was significant enough that it's going to affect his free agency status.
I still think he's going to get somewhere between 7 and 8, maybe more if the team overpays, but that'd be getting up there now. Now you're getting up there. I think that was what he was going to get around. So I really don't think it's a huge hit. $1 million, like I said, depending on the team. Will the Celtics match? That's the key. And I think a lot of it depends on who they draft. I really do, and who they trade and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know if Danny Ainge is as high on Bradley as he is on other guys like Sellinger or Olynyk maybe, or obviously Rondo he's pretty high on, even though he tries to trade him every year. But so we're gonna have to see. I think it's one of the big offseason questions. I think it's maybe my biggest offseason question is what do they do with Avery Bradley?
Well, what will we do
besides the
with
draft?
The next part of the Garden Report? We'll go to part 2. We'll talk about tonight's game. We'll talk about Dragic and Bledsoe. And then in part 3, we'll go behind enemy lines with Eric Bledsoe and hand out our Box and Ball Awards. So stay tuned. Coming up next on the playlist, Garden Report Part 2 on Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio.
Well, I thought he was good. Thought he did a lot of good things. Played hard, played with effort, did that stuff, and that's what he usually does. And but I also thought he looked a little rusty in the first stint, better in the second. So, hopefully continues to shake that rust off, and we get he gets a good, a little bit of momentum going here.
Do you have a time frame as far as how long you plan to keep him coming off the bench, or have his minutes limited?
I haven't even thought about it because I just was told today that he was playing. So, Sherrod, I don't know the answer to that. I probably have a better answer on Sunday when we, meet before the game.